Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now for the watch list, looking at the put to call ratio, it's kind of like at 0.65. It's kind of like hovering around that 0.60, 0.70 area. So it's not having the massive swings we were seeing back in November and December when the daily expiration day was happening daily. That did kind of make the market go crazy, that put the call ratio go crazy, but now things have kind of settled down and normalized. I guess you could say that it's kind of just hovering right there. So nothing, no big extreme on either side right now. The economic calendar for the week: Monday we have Empire State Manufacturing Index at 8:30. We gotta pay attention to the ECB president because he's been moving the market. He's speaking at 11 a.m. on Monday. Don't see anything else on Monday. Now on Tuesday, I don't really see much on Tuesday. We got Bowen that speaks at 1 p.m. Wednesday, just Beige Book at 2 p.m. Kind of a quiet week for data. Now on Thursday we have unemployment. We have Waller speaking at 8:30 and 8:45. Home sales, consumer comments is Europe, not U.S. So yeah, we have existing home sales at 10 a.m. Bowman speaking again at 3 p.m. Really not much going on this week on the economic calendar. Friday, on the other hand, we have Flash Manufacturing and Services at 9:45. So not really much going on with economic data this week. Kind of could be a boring week, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on most of the stocks that we've been keeping an eye on last week because not much has really changed except VIX did break 18. The lower this thing goes, the more I think it's going to, we're going to have a strong bounce. Now, like I said last week, it can go underneath 18, which it did. We could get as low as 16, maybe even 15. I think it gets underneath 15. This is when you start grabbing things with both hands because I don't see it going below 15, but I should never say never with SPY or VIX because anything can happen at any given time. So yeah, the lower VIX goes, the more I think that we're going to end up having a pullback, and VIX is gonna rocket because usually 18 has been the floor for the last year and a half, but back in 2020 it got as low as 15 in lower some spots. So we could definitely see the 15 area again, but like I said, it gets to 15, I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on it because I don't think it's going to get under 15, not with all the banking issues, rate hikes going on. I think there's going to be more banking issues. We have China and Taiwan, we have Russia, Ukraine, we have people joining NATO. Russia could act really crazy. People joining NATO. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns going around, and I know that this has been saying this, beating a dead horse, but which is a figure of speech, that just going over and over the same kind of like events that are happening that may not happen, and if they do, it could be, if ever, it could be months, years away. But I'm just saying, keeping it in the back of your mind that one day we could wake up and SPY could be down $10 and SPX could be down 100 points or 200 points on any economic surprise or any event that happens in the world. So anything can happen at any given time. So just remember that there is issues out there that could happen. So VIX definitely looking at 15. SPY, just looking at, why did not go up to SPY? SPY. Now SPY weekly still looks bullish, inverted head and shoulders to me. Still looks like a massive trap to me. Left head, right shoulder. Gets over this 415 area, probably rush to 420. I think that, you know, they may, if they does get to 420, they may pop it just a little bit to get everybody excited, then flush them. I think it's going to be a fake out. I could be completely wrong. I think that if it gets managed to get to this 415, 420, they'll get a little bit of a buying volume. Then they're going to end up pulling it back to maybe even 400. Or we could pull back to 400 now. Based on the way VIX is, I would think that a little grind up more to get everybody in the call side, and especially being at a huge breakout point on the weekly and VIX being as low as it is, that's very skeptical also. So add that to the, you know, list of things to keep an eye on, that when we're at a very major resistance breakout level on a weekly large time frame and VIX is at 17, I think that we get a little bit of a push fake out and VIX is going to end up popping and the market's going to drop. But we could be completely wrong. We got earnings coming up. The banks started to report on Friday. Banks had good earnings, and ECB is telling people they're gonna raise rates. And then they were going around trying to say the Fed was going to raise rates to 75 basis points, which they will never do. 50 points is very, very slim, but 25 definitely. I think I'd see 25, but 50 be stretching it. 75, no way. I call bullshit on that, but I mean, it is what it is. So that's what I think. SPY will pop up to maybe 415, 420, then pull back, or it gets below this 410 area, which this 410.50 area has been pretty significant on the hourly. Resistance breaks through. It's still resistance. It's the area now. It's support. So we could get in a. That's why I think we could get a little bit of a push. Plus, also we're having a bearish divergence going on in the hourly. It's making higher highs as the RSI is making lower highs. So they could extend the hourly a little more. But if it gets below 410. Get the 405 area, then we get some gaps to fill down here at the 401, a little bit of a tiny gap. Then we get a bigger gap here at the 397 area. So definitely could fill that gap too. So we get some gaps to fill going down on SPY. So like I said, earnings is coming out. We're going to have the big ones coming out this week. Apple still at the trend line. Top of the Keltner channel, weekly trend line, RCT trend line. It's got massive resistance right here. It could break it, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to end up breaking below. So I'd watch puts for under 164 for push down to 160. Breaks below that, we get a little gap fill right here at 158, 157. You got RCT trend line right down here, right at that 156 level, which has been resistance, support, and support. So that'd be a nice area for it to retest if it does pull back right there. Amazon, still thinking that Amazon could end up breaking out right here because it still looks good on the weekly. It's right up here at the 103 area, breaks over this 104, and we could definitely see a push to 105 to 110 to even 115. So definitely keep an eye on Amazon for push to 115. Weekly looks really good, so that's why I think that we're going to get a push. Plus, we get a cup and handle, get the cup and the handle right here, and we're still right at the top of the handle trend line. So we could definitely see a move out of Amazon. That's why. Plus, earnings coming up, we could get a little bit of excitement with Amazon earnings on that. So BA dropped. It's got a huge gap fill right here, but it's still within this range of this 200 to 215. I just cannot stay get out of this range. It's just been stuck in it. So I'm looking at, if it gets underneath this 198, I would watch for a push under actually we'll say 199 for push down to 195, which is right down here at the bottom of the trend line right here. If it gets below that 190, get a little bit of a gap fill right here at 190, then we got 185 right here, and right, so that's where the RCT trend line is right there on the weekly. So 185 is definitely in the cards on BA. Definitely keep an eye on BA. NVDA, same thing. It's still outside the weekly Keltner channel. It had a little bit of a red candle. It's still full body outside the Keltner channel. Still over 71 RSI on the weekly. It did pull back a little bit, but it's still outside the Keltner channel, and it did it up here. Remember, this is still looking like this. So deja vu right here. So I'm thinking we still pull back down to the at least 250 to even 230 level on that. So keep an eye on the video to pull back. Watch it underneath. I can even see it underneath Friday's low of 263. For 260, 255, 250. Then you get the 240 area. So keep an eye on NVDA. Tesla. We could get some excitement at Tesla with the earnings coming up. We could get a little bit of momentum. It's holding this 180 pretty well, and RCT trend lines right here. It's holding that really, really well on the daily. So if it does manage to get over this high right here of 186, watch for a push to 190, 195, 200 be a pretty significant level. Then we get this gap fill we need to fill up here at the 205, 207 area. So could get a gap fill on Tesla. If it gets over that 208 level, we're probably going to see 210, 220 on Tesla. So keep an eye on Tesla. Meta, same thing as it just keeps grinding up. Same thing as NVIDIA, all of these body candles outside the Keltner channel. I don't like seeing that on the weekly. I think it's going to pull back. The question is a matter of when, not if. But these divergences can last for weeks, months. We've seen it with Baidu and Roku. If you're not sure or weren't in the room when that was happening, when I was calling that for like weeks on end, look at the weekly charts on Baidu and Roku. I was on top of that, made that like everyone aware of that before it happened, but it just kept grinding up. But it did happen. It just is a matter of when. You get the weekly resistance right here at 225. Maybe that's where Spy Meta Facebook actually runs out of steam. Look at the daily RSI is making lower highs as is making higher highs. So definitely a huge bearish divergence on the daily. So that's when I'm thinking, okay, maybe 225 will be the high. I don't know, but anyways, full body candles outside the Keltner channel on the weekend. I don't like seeing that, so I'd watch for puts under. You could say right under 218 for push down to 213, 215, to 210. It gets under 210. You get 205. You get a gap fill right here at the 202 area. And down to 200, so it's got room to go down to 200. On the weekly, I mean, it's got room down to the 175. I don't know if we'll get that far. We'll have to see. But definitely, if it gets down to 200, I'll bring it back in the Keltner channel. That would definitely look pretty good. But middle Keltner channel is right down in this 180 area, 175 area, which aligns with the RCT and this support level right here. So that could be within range too for Meta. So with earnings coming up, maybe if the earnings are bad, that's what will happen. But that's going to do it for the watch list. That's what I'm watching. Pretty much the same thing as the last week or two. We'll have to see what SPY does this week. We'll take it day by day, headline by headline, and try to make better decisions. I've been waiting out the first half an hour. Maybe I wait longer. We'll have to see what the action's like and stuff like that. So hopefully, I had a bad week last week. This week will be a lot better. Be positive. Usually after I have a bad week, I have a very strong week. So be definitely looking forward to that. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And thanks for watching.